Hi, I'm Daz. What monstrous piece of equipment have I got on my bench now? This is a Tandberg TCD 310. It didn't cost a lot of money. It's a bit rough, but I thought, why not? This is a 3-motor dual caption machine from the mid-70s, I guess. It's a whole lot different being a 3-motor machine. What else can I tell you about it? It's electronic control, mostly. Well, because it's got 3 motors, it would be. It has Dolby noise reduction, a chrome switch, manual record level that goes up to 6, which is interesting. What else can I tell you about it? Let's have a look at the sockets at the back. Lift it off. I really ought to clean that. Get and clean a cloth, really, shouldn't I? Just hold it in position. We've got DIN socket, mains, 2 sets of phonos for record and playback. So that's mostly dealt with the sockets. This one has got a bit of a dent in the bottom, hence why I got it quite inexpensively. So let's turn it round. Well, the eject works. Pause seems strangely locked. Play and record buttons seem to be working. The wind and rewind appear to be locked to the stop. It's the power button. Chrome switch works. Dolby switch is working. The mono switch is not locking. Okay, that's a small thing. So yes, that's basically the overview of it. I think perhaps next I might be tempted to power it up very carefully and see what happens. Well, I've got it connected up. I'm going to just bring the power up gradually and see what happens. 30%. Haha. I can see a slight glow from the cassette door. There's a slight hum. I don't know if the Capstan motor runs all the time. Forgot to check that. I think it does. Okay. 40%. I can see this lamp is working, this is not. So one of the lamps has gone. That might indicate quite a few hours on the machine. Now up to 50%. No motor movement. 60%. Well, I can't see any smoke. That's a good sign. Oh, yes, I can now. Alright, let's get that out. Oh. Oh well. So I wonder what that was. Smells resistory, so obviously there's something drawing too much power somewhere. I hope that wasn't the motor. Well, that was a bit of a surprise. Perhaps that wasn't the best idea in the first place, but there we go. Okay, so I've got the back off. Here's the solenoid. Here's the 2 real motors, which I believe are DC. Here's the Capstan motor, which is AC synchronous. It's a capacitor. That's dated 973. Here's the main PCB. There's the power transformer. So that's the basics of what we can see this side. Here's the 2 Capstan wheels. The belt is connected still. It looks a little bit loose from what I can see. Well, I've just removed the 3 screws from the back and 3 screws from the top, and there we go. Now you can see inside it. I think the smoke was coming from this direction, but I'm not sure. There's the belt, and that's pretty loose. There's a counter, some sort of switch. Not sure what that's used for. So there we go. There's the top of the deck. I'm now handheld, so I thought we'd have a closer look. Here's the 2-pinch wheels. That's the head. There's a little bit of wear on that. Here's the raised head. That's interesting. For slimline design, it's designed to pop through that little tiny gap on a cassette. So it's not like a two heads sandwiched together. It pokes through that smaller hole on a cassette. And just got a cassette. That'll probably make more sense. There we go. It pops through that little gap in the centre of the screen now. Okay, so that's interesting. So there's a little window with a lamp in. I don't know if there's supposed to be something else in their diffuser. What else can we see? There's a tape counter connected to one of the spools. There's the top of the synchronous motor. So it's got a fan. There's some switches. So there's a lever here. So that tells it that the cassette is present, one guesses. There's a further, that must be the record prevention tab. I wonder if that's mechanical. Maybe, maybe not. There's a switch nearby, but I don't know what that activates as yet. You can see some of the circuit boards down here. I guess that those screws are going to have to come out for that to come out with the circuit board. Very, very difficult shot, but that resistor next to that capacitor is definitely burnt out. Very difficult to light this. It's a bit of an awkward angle, but yes, there's a resistor there. I can see a green. I wonder if it's 56 ohm or something. So it wouldn't surprise me if that is a decoupling, an additional smoothing capacitor for that smoothing capacitor. It wouldn't surprise me if that's an additional smoothing cap, and that resistor is providing it with power. So it might be that that capacitor is short, and that's why it's smoked. That's unfortunate. Well, this looks a little bit of fun. Got a service manual now. This screw, these two screws here, I believe got to come out. Let's record. There's a small bit of plastic under here for the pause that's got to come out. The side panel's got to come off, and all these buttons have got to slide that way. Then you can tilt this out. Of course, this interlock lever's also got to come out. So yeah, a little bit of work there involved to get access to the plug-in cards. The issue I had with smoke earlier, assuming it is the capacitor, there's a 56 ohm and 470 microfarad decoupling capacitor that goes to the Dolby circuits, and that's the resistor that fried when I had some smoke. So anyway, I shall get my bag and put all the bits in. I've hit one of those little quandaries. This mechanism, it's got something to do with the pause control. I noticed the switch is completely jammed, but I need to get access to the screw here, and this mechanism doesn't seem to go over further than this, but it's probably not easy to see from this camera angle, but it is bent inwards here and then straight again, and what I don't know at this moment is, should that bend actually be in there? I'm wondering if there's the bend on the bottom of the case we know about, and I'm wondering if this has been impacted, and this shouldn't in fact be bent upwards, but at this moment in time I'm not sure, so I'm going to have a look to see if that should be like that or not. I don't want to start bending things that shouldn't be bent in a certain direction, but it does look like that's had an impact from something. Well, that didn't quite go as planned. Two of the VU meter wires have got hooked underneath this board, and also unfortunately the DIN connector's hooked when I pulled up on the bracket here, so it's disassembled itself a bit more than I was expecting, but I'm sure I can get the connectors back in if I need be. But this now got access to the boards, tantiums. These presumably the Dolby boards. That's going to be an equalisation board, I guess, and this is going to be the logic control card we've got here. So okay, so that's me thinking it's the electrolytic that was short circuit. Well, here's the burnt up 56 ohm resistor. Now, interesting thing is, I am still seeing a short until I remove this resistor of 60 ohm backwards. I now actually think what I'm seeing is something low resistance the other side of the power supply, maybe. I can't see a short on the Dolby side, and the capacitor looked okay. Now I am wondering, an earlier scene I was reviewing earlier on, there was two long wires on that capacitor. Now we know the lid, or the bottom cover should I say, was bent in. It's entirely possible that was bent in enough to short those two cables out, so it is possible in fact that there was no problem, it was caused by the long leads on that capacitor shortening out. So that's possible what is wrong, and there isn't actually a problem on the Dolby circuits at all. Whoops. Just looking at the connectors on the bias oscillator board, and those connectors are fairly tarnished that go to the head, very, very tarnished. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to clean them up, but we'll have to see if they cause a problem or not. But they are pretty tarnished, they are, along with the variable capacitors too. I found one or two other connectors looking equally as tarnished, so whether they were silver or something originally, I don't know. Might be why they've tarnished. Yeah, I'm just dropping a little bit of contact cleaner down here. I'm using the expensive Deoxite, or whatever it's called, for this one, because these are so tarnished. I feel that they'd use something a bit stronger than my normal contact cleaner, but it will remain to be seen if I end up with intermittent head problems later on, or whether this will solve it. Well, I'm just doing a few little things just before I power it up again. I've cleaned some contacts on these boards, cleaned the pins. I've put a little bit of replacement foam on that Dolby board, because I imagine that's to stop the screen from touching. I guess the screen is there because the synchronous motor is just here. Cleaned these contacts and the one on the cassette, which is out of shot. I've replaced some capacitors. I found some that were shifted value by over 50%, so I'm a bit suspicious of them, so I've replaced just those and the two timing capacitors on the logic board for the solenoid. So I might go for another power up. I've been chasing ghosts. I thought I had a load across the regulated side, and of course that is the lamps here, out of shot again, the lamps on the VU meter and the one for the cassette. I forgot about those, so I was thinking, what's this resistance? Of course it's the lamps, because they have negative resistance. They come out particularly low, but I don't have a lot of confidence in this functioning as it is, but I think it's worth another try, and let's just hope that this time I don't get too much smoke as I did last time, but we'll see. I'm just sitting here on 35% on Variac, and what I've noticed is that I've got about 7 volts on the regulated side, but the Dolby board side, where we had the burn up before with the resistor that burnt out, is only sitting at 1.6 volts. So it now tends to suggest to me that there is something wrong on the Dolby boards, but I can't quite fathom out what. So there's obviously a very, very low resistance there somewhere, so I'm going to have to study the circuit, but I was under the assumption that it was just powering the Dolby boards, and I didn't think there was any electrolytics across the supply rail that could cause a problem. So this one's a bit mysterious at the moment. So yeah, just 1.6 for 7 volts, and the resistor is getting rather warm, so I'm going to have to do some tests, perhaps pull the Dolby boards out and see if the voltage comes up. I'm still at a bit of a loss to what's causing the short on the Dolby boards. But this is the board that was responsible for pulling the supply down. There was components very close to each other. Is it a possibility components were touching? This has been dropped, possibly. Anyway, I've only got it at 55%, but I've given the motor a push, and that's running now. The Capstan Motor. Just bypassed the cassette, and you can hear the other spool slow down when I turn this, so there must be some feedback, and it looked like it was braking there. And if I do the same with this one, you can hear it slowing down. Well, there's definitely some braking going on there. They're pulling opposite each other, so something's happening, but play doesn't do anything, or doesn't appear to. Or it is now, but it's probably because the supply rail is not fully up yet. I'm just giving a chance for the other capacitors to sort of reform. This is the bag of changed capacitors so far, not a lot. It's these ones here, which are made by, I'm not sure who, is it Shaw? Anyway, these grey ones, I've replaced a lot of those because they've more or less gone up in value by about 60%. So anyway, I'm going to just leave this simmering for a little while and keep a close eye on it. I'm still puzzled by the Dolby board short, but it could well have been 2 components touching, because the circuit doesn't suggest it's capable of drawing a heavy current. There's too many collector resistors, so I'm a little puzzled at the moment. Well, where I think I'm going to leave it tonight, so I'm just going to put a cassette in and just see. It's a bit erratic. The spooling isn't fantastic, but could be sticky motor. Okay, so it didn't spill. Just remember to push both buttons down together here. Didn't spill again. Play is not doing much, but if I unspool the tape, it's spooling the tape up, but we have no solenoid action at all. So that's not too bad. At least something's happening, and there isn't any smoke being emitted, which I think is definitely an advantage. But I might... No, there is no... Well, there it is playing. But it's stopping after a second or so. So obviously something's wrong with the logic control. I have replaced some of the capacitors in the timing circuit, but obviously there's still an issue. I think a couple of things I'm sort of looking at now is, okay, there isn't even any, there's 2 solenoids in here. There's a hold one and an activate. I have changed capacitors in the timing circuit for the activate one, but it looks like to me that neither solenoid is working, because even if I hold it when I do a play, there's no hint of it holding. The second thing that I've now discovered, a bit of research always helps, is I wondered about these buttons and how they latched, but it's fairly obvious that they're not latching, so I guess that there's some grease that's probably gone completely hard here. Well, a difficult shot, but I can see there is a metal bar here. It goes along between the switches, and there is a, could that be a spring of some sort attached to this switch here? So I'm just wondering if that's the cause of the problem, if it's got grease on. Well, it's obviously turned to treacle by now, isn't it? How would you get the grease out? The only way is to try and flush it out with some sort of lubricant, I guess. Well, that's cheered me up a bit. There we go. That is now functional. We now have latching going on. So I suspect what happened is the grease had gone very hard. So there's record, play, etc. So that little problem sorted out. Another little problem I found as well is I managed to bend one of these pins. Now that's not clever. I'm going to have to be much carefuler next time. But it must have been slightly out of alignment, and it's a bit dark down there, perhaps some better lighting, but that's good to know that the switches are now operated as they should. A bit of a risky move, but at the moment I'm trying to make a nice gap so I can get some contact cleaner down the rear part of the switch. This way I think I'm going to end up cleaning the PCB, but I just wanted to make sure we had good contact clean. See another one of these connectors with very tarnished pins again. It makes you wonder if they're the cause of some of the problems I've been having as well, but I'll gradually work my way through and clean through all this stuff and see if it helps at all. Well, having cleaned everything up, I'm seeing an improvement now. Now when I press play, nope, it did work. There we go. It's gone in this time. Try again. I haven't got the mains voltage up full, but there we go. Hey, it's playing. Well, I'd say that's an improvement. I think things are still intermittent. Maybe I need to spend more time cleaning the contacts. I guess the delay is the there we go. Ooh, that slipped a bit that time. Yeah, you can see the grease is making it slip, but at least it's most of the time going in now. So either it was the pen I accidentally bent out, or a lot of it's to do with contacts, which hopefully improve over time as I might have another go at cleaning the contacts, but there we go. But at least we can play now.